I was still
What's
jamming
up,
out.
everybody? Dan's jamming over there. What's up, everyone? We're back with another episode of the Even Your Dynasty Show. We're doing this on a Thursday night because one of us here, that would be me, was an idiot and forgot he had a date night going on tomorrow night. So that's not happening. So sorry about that one, everybody. We had a fun guest lined up, but we're going to be trying to get that rescheduled for next week. Unless Ricky's got an update on a date, we're just trying to get it for next week. So yeah,
Shouts out to our middleman, Ricky.
yeah,
Yeah, we should have a good idea by tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
Hey, Cole. So by commenting, you are actually entered in the giveaway. All you got to do, and anybody that's joining in here, all you got to do, subscribe to the channel and drop a comment. It gets you entered. The giveaway will take place kind of towards the very end of the show today, and I'll let Ricky kind of tell you guys what we got. We're down to our last item, so we're going to give that one away tonight. Go ahead, Rick.
Yeah, it is a Patrick Bailey Bowman Chrome autograph card. So it's basically like his first prospect or pro player card. And like a lot of card experts will tell you guys nowadays, those cards are a little bit more valuable than actual rookie cards since it is their first pro card.
What he said.
And ETA the giveaway, it is probably going to be, we're going to be trying to cut it around 10 o'clock tonight. So we'll probably do the giveaway like right before then.
Just make sure, guys, commenting does get you entered, but you have to be here when he actually does the spin, or else you'll be booted. So you can't just like comment and be like, haha, I'm good, and then leave for the night, and then be like, what? I didn't win. You have to be there when he actually does the drawing. So
yeah. So you know, you can always just jump back in at 9:45 and drop a comment if you really want to get entered and you don't feel like listening to us talk for an hour. So
exactly.
But yeah, so we've got a few different things kind of out there. I mean, what do you guys want to talk about first? We got the coaching staff. They sent out something that they finalized their coaching staff. We saw a couple different changes. Damon Minor got promoted. I'm drawing a blank, but they hired the guy from San Diego to be an assistant coach as well.
Yeah, we got the coaching staff being finalized. We're going to touch on. We've got obviously the news from Ken Rosenthal that I'm sure we'll touch on that we talked about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So we had a couple cool topics to talk about, which is nice considering there wasn't really much this morning. So
yeah, it's been a quiet, it's been a quiet week. It's been a quiet month, really, for the Giants. You know, there hasn't really been much out there. The one name that seems to be floating around a ton is Ha-Seong Kim. We will talk about this report, Cole. I did see, we did kind of see that note that Chapman's open to playing short, kind of interesting. Not sure it's what I would be looking at doing, but we'll break that down in a minute. But, starting off with the coaching staff, will you guys have any kind of thoughts on that? I know me personally, I liked the Martinez hiring when they made it. I'm cool with sticking with Pat for another season at least. I'm not big on judging somebody on one season, the results that they had given, especially because you can't change the philosophy of a team in 1 year. That's just not going to happen. And when he comes in after, Willy and Guerrero and them had their hands on it for years, like there's only so much you can do. So I'm cool with him coming back. I feel like Damon Minor has done a good job in AAA for the last few years. If you look historically the last few years, a lot of guys went to AAA and had a lot of success. Guys like Matos got going there. Elliot Ramos really took huge strides in AAA over the last couple of years. Casey Schmidt took a big jump this last season, doing a lot of his work in Sacramento. So I feel like we've had a lot of guys go down there and have success when Minor's been working with them for a while. So, I feel like that was kind of a deserved promotion for him.
I'll let you go first, Rick.
Yeah, we can also touch on the new front office addition as well. that came over from the Pirates. So now we have him and then an assistant hitting coach that came over from San Diego. So you finally get two guys that are coming from the outside, something that a lot of fans have been waiting for, because some of the concerns that Buster's only hiring ex-players and ex-teammates of his and not really many people with analytics type backgrounds. The front office guy that came over from Miami kind of has a little bit of both. He is an ex-ball player, but he also has a little bit of an analytics background in pro scouting. Specifically is what he's done mostly in the past with both the Yankees and the Marlins. And he's somebody who worked under Kim Ng while she was in Miami. So, there is a little bit of an emphasis on analytics as well. So you're not just getting what everybody says with Buster is just, pure gut out of all of his front office hires. And I think we can say the same thing with Manassian as well. So I think we're seeing kind of what Buster said when he got hired, that it will be truly a mix of both. And I think that goes down to our manager and Bob Melvin. Same thing. I think he's going to really balance the two things rather than being so heavy on analytics like we've seen in the last few years.
Yeah, I feel like that's something that the three of us especially, but a lot of fans have been asking for a while now, to have that nice kind of balance in between with the whole old school approach versus analytical approach. So it's nice to have the best of both worlds kind of, take shape in the front office and the coaching staff. Get some internal guys promoted. I really like the Damon Minor promotion. Like you guys touched on, I felt like he did a great job in SAC over the last couple of years. So it was a no-brainer for me. And yeah, like you said, with filling those roles in both aspects, I think it's huge just to kind of get a sense of direction from Posey and the front office as a whole. So I like it. I mean, I've seen some critique on X, which is to be expected, but across the board, I like it. I think there's potential.
Yeah. And the Hottie Rod one, I did see that, they didn't like put anybody, like it wasn't anybody specific being quoted. I know it just said like, kind of some executives around the league kind of speaking anonymously, but I guess, when they got him, a few different people kind of spoke out and just said like Giants are getting a really bright guy and kind of a star in the making. So, we'll see. I mean, a lot of people said the same thing about like Patilla when he came, and Scott Harris and Zaidi. So, you never know really what these guys are until they've been around. And then the hard part is when they're in these kind of supportive roles in front offices, you don't know how, involved they are in from that aspect either. But for anybody that's wondering, those that are listening that don't know kind of what the director of pro scouting does, it's Manassian's old role. Those guys basically have the scouting reports on everybody in every level of professional ball, majors, minors, independent leagues. So, one of the things that when they got Rod over from the Pirates is a lot of people were like, well, what's he even done in the last like couple of years in Pittsburgh? Name me like one guy that he's picked up, one good move they've really picked up from like a pro department and like not, or pro acquisition and not just like drafting. And of course, immediately comes to mind for me is, well, I don't know. They traded a ham sandwich for that Joey Bart guy that seemed to be pretty good for them last year. So maybe he's got a decent eye for talent. So we'll see. That's just one move, obviously. And the Pirates, you're kind of hamstrung with their financial issues because their ownership just refuses to spend anything ever. So can only do so much there, but that is a good move for a team like that. That's, looking for cheap talent, and it worked out. So, time will tell.
And speaking of, ownerships being unwilling to spend, can we just briefly give a round of applause for the A's, man? What was that today?
No.
That caught me off
They
guard,
get no round of applause. The Las Vegas A's of Sacramento dropping $67 million, which is like the biggest contract they've ever let.
And a draft pick.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
on a guy that probably nobody else would have given that contract to.
Literally.
You're literally giving him the qualifying offer and stretching that out over, what was it, 3 years? Like, what are we doing? That's clearly like a check your box type free agent signing right there.
Supposedly they went hard at Minaya before they went after Severino.
I heard that.
And even then, it's like, why?
Still a QO guy.
Why are we targeting guys in that tier if we're unwilling to spend money and then also giving up a draft pick? Like, at that point, you might as well go after the top guys that don't have a qualifying offer, attached to them. It doesn't make sense, but it's clearly it's beneficial to the A's because of some of the stuff, some of the things under the CBA that benefits them. So they're really not doing it to go and up their payroll. It's really to make them more money in the long run and save them more money in the long run. So
yeah.
It was just funny when I was just gonna say it was just funny when I saw the Jeff Passan tweet, and I was just like, "Oh,
is that a typo?"
Yeah, call me off guard, bro.
Yeah, I mean, and nobody can convince me that handing Luis Severino a 3-year, $67 million deal with a QO attached to it is better than giving like Nathan Eovaldi a 3-year deal. Like, I'm sorry, nobody's going to convince me that's a better deal. Especially, well, and the A's only have to give up the 1 pick, but it's a 2nd round pick. Like, that's rough. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't want to do that for Severino. I mean, the Giants would have to give up a 5th on top of that 2nd rounder, so it really makes no sense for them. But it was kind of interesting, and I mean, it's it cares about money first, and it's like it's the price to get somebody to come pitch in Sacramento. In all reality,
money talks.
Yeah. But yeah. Anything else on the coaching staff, or do we want to go ahead and move on?
No. Well, actually, I did want to bring up one other thing. I also did want to note the Giants never did end up filling that assistant manager role. That was kind of one of those BS roles that was there under Kapler when they had that massive coaching staff. They haven't really filled that role, and I don't think they'll be doing that going forward. Just seemed kind of more like a too many cooks type situation. So that is something to keep an eye on as far as, Posey kind of trying to empower Melvin a little bit more and give him a little bit more leeway rather than having so many people in his ear about all these different numbers.
Hey, hopefully that's what they're referring to when they meant by cutting payroll. It was just cutting off all that, all those unnecessary amounts of, coaches on the staff,
Hey, Joan in accounting doesn't need her benefits. It's fine.
And I don't think we need 3 assistant coaches to hit grounders. Like, I'm pretty sure we can figure that one out.
Oh my God. You got Matt Williams. That's the only one that should be hitting grounders.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, yeah, I mean, assistant manager, it's like, isn't that just what a bench coach is? Last I checked, like, isn't that like 99% of the bench coach's job?
You know what that reminds me of? For anyone that's seen The Office, assistant to the regional manager. That's what that reminds me of.
Yeah. Just great, BS roles.
Kai Correa is forever going to be Dwight Schrute from here out.
There was no more well-known assistant coach than Kai Correa in the league because all he did was stand next to Kapler and look like he knew what was going on.
Hey, just got to look good.
Dude, I always said he was like mini-me from Austin Powers.
Yep.
Dude, I remember one night watching a game. It was like Sunday Night Baseball or something, and the Giants were on at home, and they're doing a deep dive into Kai Correa's like highlights on YouTube of like him teaching college kids how to field grounders and how to take infield and stuff. And I'm like, why do we care about this? Like, why are we getting so deep into the weeds on this? And the only thing I could think of was just how boring the Giants were at the time. They just had to dig on random crap.
How bad is our team that we're doing we're pulling highlights of our assistant to the manager? Oh God. Yeah. Fun times.
But I mean, I think that's pretty much all I had on the coaching situation and the new front office hire.
Yeah. Same.
All right, we're gonna jump over to this one. So this was a topic that just kind of randomly got dropped by was it Rosenthal that said it?
Yeah, I believe Ken
It
Rosenthal.
was Ken Rosenthal.
Yeah, so Ken Rosenthal basically came out and said that Chapman's open to playing shortstop temporarily if they sign Ha-Seong Kim. In I didn't read the whole article. I opened it, looked at it, kind of rolled my eyes and moved on with my day. But the gist kind of was that they could theoretically go move like Tyler Fitzgerald over to third base, and I think this is in the event that Kim is playing and they want to put him at second base. It almost sounded like it's not even just like while he's out due to injury. Because I mean, while he's out due to injury, like whatever, you got to do what you got to do to fill the spot for a month or two. But I mean, this sounds like something they're thinking about doing for an entire year, potentially, if they were to sign Kim. And, part of it for me personally is I could probably say this almost makes sense if you're talking about putting Chapman at short and then putting Schmidt at third, because at least then you're really not sacrificing much defensively at third base. And if you just feel that Chapman could fill short better than anyone else, like on the roster at that time, sure. But then the flip side of this, and this is, I know, Ricky, you're going to probably want to dive on this a bit more than me, but there is no guarantee that Kim's shoulder is going to heal enough to really ever fit at shortstop again. And this is where you almost want to do like a 1-year prove it deal. And granted, if he were to sign that, play really well, all of a sudden gets super expensive. But you just don't know if he's going to be able to play shortstop again. And honestly, I feel like signing Kim is like almost entirely like the ability for it to be a successful deal is like entirely predicated on him going back to being a really good defensive shortstop, because he's not going to hit for much power. He's not going to drive in a ton of runs. I don't worry about his speed. Like, that's going to be there. I do think he'll always be good at least making contact and drawing walks. Like, he has a good understanding of the zone and all, like everything in that aspect, I think is going to be fine. It's just much of his value is going to be defense. So this doesn't make a ton of sense to me, but it's getting floated out there, and usually if there's smoke, there's some fire to it. So
the way I look at this and the way that I interpret it is basically what Ed said in the chat as well. To me, this is Chapman showing his leadership. It's him showing that he's willing to make these sacrificial types of adjustments for the sake of improving the team. And that's really what stands out to me most of all with this, because theoretically and in hindsight, it doesn't make much sense. You're sacrificing defense. Like, the three of us have been very open about it. A lot of Giants fans have as well. I love Fitzgerald. We love Fitzgerald, but he's not the guy that you want to roll out there as your everyday third baseman or everyday shortstop. He's a great fill-in. He's a great utility player. He can play multiple positions, but we saw last season that, there's too many errors, too many mistakes, too much of a liability defensively to make such a risk of, okay, we're going to slide the best third baseman in the National League to shortstop, the guy who just won the Gold Glove at third base. We're going to move him to short and then plug Fitz at third, and then Kim eventually ease back into second once his shoulder recovers, depending on how that goes, because there's already kind of like floating out the idea that he might miss, a few weeks or even months at the beginning of the year. So it doesn't make a lot of sense to me, in all honesty. It would only make sense if you get a Kim and you get the other Kim, or you get Kim and you get Adames or something. Then you can kind of, move some pieces around. But just as it stands right now, it doesn't make a ton of sense to me. It's just more of a display of leadership than anything to me.
Yeah, and this all kind of ties back into the Chapman signing after the season ended, or right at the end of the season. You're really pigeonholing yourself in what you can possibly do with the roster. Obviously, Chapman fills a hole. You don't really, unless you are absolutely sure that you're going to plug Schmidt in there and you're just going to roll with that all season. You really didn't have a surefire third baseman to plug in 2025. So, and Chapman being a leader, they felt obligated to sign him. Posey jumped the gun and paid him what he wanted, basically. And ultimately, now you're kind of stuck in a spot where you can't really fully commit to just a full-on, rebuild and just all young guys out there, because why the hell would you sign Chapman if you're only going to be playing young guys? It just doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. And I don't think that's the reason why he, chose to stay here. I think he wants to win and win now. So to me, it's like you're really limited on what you can do with the middle infield. For me personally, I don't really see the point in signing Kim if he's only going to be playing second base for you. That just doesn't make sense to me. At that point, you might as well, platoon Fitz and Schmidt there, or just see who's the better man that wins the job in spring training, and try to go hard after a shortstop. But even then, your options are super limited. You're looking at like a Bo Bichette trade. You're looking at Kim if he can play the position with coming off surgery, and you're looking at possibly putting Fitz or Schmidt there, or now Chapman, which again, why'd you sign him long-term as a third baseman if you're going to move him over to short? Just, it's very, very confusing on what they're trying to accomplish here. So that's why I think it's super important that they go hard after Adames and make sure that he gets an offer that he can't turn down, because it just makes everything going forward so much easier. And then, if you don't get Adames and you just end up rolling with Kim and hoping like hell that he's going to recover, it's going to be interesting. That's for sure. And like Grant's mentioning it right now, some people aren't worried about the injury. My concern is it's a torn labrum. Anybody that's played baseball before knows how common of an injury that is for pitchers. And sometimes pitchers never recover from that. Like, those are injuries you do not want to mess with. And while he's not pitching, at the big league level, playing shortstop with a healthy arm is going to be super important, because you're going to find out real quick if he can't make that throw. And if he can't make that throw, you're not going to be able to keep him there. This is the big leagues. And the Giants play on a very slow infield. So you need to have a quick arm. This is in Arizona where the ball's coming in hot and you have a lot more time to make throws. So I think it's super important that they know what they're getting themselves into if Kim is the plan long-term at shortstop.
Yeah. It's like I said, his value, it makes no sense to make that move if he's going to be at second base. Because if he gets stuck at second base, you are just so much better off just seeing what you got in Fitz and Schmidt, and seeing if either of those guys can be a significantly cheaper, Fitz is only like a year and a half younger than Kim, but Schmidt's still, I think, 3+ years younger than Kim is right now, and he'd be a lot cheaper. And there are some things that, I think Schmidt's actually a big breakout candidate for next season, and he's got some power that Kim just doesn't have. I think the glove work actually can be comparable as he gets more comfortable at second base. But, Kim's value at shortstop, if the arm strength returns and if he can go back to being what he was at shortstop, because, kind of undeniably, like, he was a Gold Glove finalist 1 year at shortstop. He's incredibly valuable at shortstop. It's just, if you can't play shortstop, like, we got a problem with that deal. So it's kind of where I'm at.
And one thing that hasn't been mentioned at all, which should be pretty clear and obvious, your biggest need on the team right now, the biggest need is shortstop. If you sign Kim to be a second baseman, you're just further complicating things, not only based on team needs, but based on your 40-man. Because if you look at the 40-man roster right now, if you bring Kim on, you got 4 to 6 guys who can play second base. You've got Wisely. People are forgetting Wisely. You got Fitzgerald. You got Schmidt. Now you got Kim. You still got Wade Meckler, who's on the 40-man, who's converting to second base. Yeah, Luciano played second base last year. It's just like you're further complicating your 40-man roster situation, and you're leaving a gap at the biggest need on your team in general. Like, in every level of the farm and in the big league club. Shortstop's the biggest need. So it's just going to further complicate things if you end up going that route. So I just want to see some clarity. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I will say this, like, to Nick's point right here, he said rumored 12 to 13 mil. If it's 18 or higher, yikes. I mean, I think we all agree with that. If it's even over 15 million, I'm going to be like shaking my head at that deal. And we better just hope to God he's a Gold Glove shortstop, because that's a rough one. But I mean, if it's if it's 12 million, I've said, like, if he does end up on second base at 12 million, if he can at least, if he's winning Gold Gloves or being a finalist every year, and he's stealing you 30 plus bags a year and getting on base at a 340 clip or something like that, like, it wouldn't be the worst contract, like, bang for your buck. Like, it's not a bad deal. It's just, we like to talk a lot about, like, asset allocation and things like that. And when you just have younger, cheaper guys that fit second base, it's poor use of your resources, in my opinion. So yeah. And also ultimately Velasquez, love that guy. I'd love to see him end up at second in a few years. And for those of you that don't follow Dan on Twitter.
Yeah. That post blew up.
Yeah, he's got some fun Meckler stuff going there.
Bro, I got some people that legit hate me on X, especially for that post. It's hilarious. I love it. Drop me a follow, guys.
I removed my Meckler post.
Yeah,
I don't want to lose our guest for Monday.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
I mean, the guy could be a solid big leaguer if he can ever, for the love of God, figure out his defense. I do not understand how a guy with little power rises that quickly through the minors without being able to field a fly ball. Like, that's just wild to me.
Let alone get placed in the 40-man 2-3 years early.
Yeah, I mean, the hit tool is really good, but I don't understand how you can't catch a fly ball. Like, you've been playing baseball your whole life and you just look lost. And he's wearing glasses, so it's not a glasses issue. So I don't know what it is, but man, hopefully
it could be the wrong lenses.
I don't know.
You could have the drunk goggles on.
But you'd think if, like, your bat's solid, you would just be working on fly balls all season. Like, he could have legitimately came up at some point, like, after the injury and rehab and everything, and actually contributed had he been able to play defense. But it is terrifying to watch him.
Don't get me worked up.
For anybody that's wondering, if we're being, out of pocket with this criticism of his defense, I went to 2 games up in Tacoma. The River Cats last season played up in Tacoma. Aside from Meckler having a hilarious bat flip on like a 14 hopper up the middle, he aside from that one, he misplayed 3 fly balls in one game. And one of them he did make a diving catch on, which a lot of people are like, oh my God, diving catch. And I'm like, yeah, except for the part where, like, he stopped halfway to the ball, totally took a terrible route, and then had to dive to make up for it. He just needs to not be in center field, and really he shouldn't be in the outfield. That's why I'm glad they're putting him at second base. I said it almost all last season. For anybody that watched a lot of the minor league updates, I consistently said, get this guy at second base. His hit tool at least fits that position. And then you're not, I mean, he might do the pop-up dance a few times, but hopefully that's the guy that I don't mind Fitzgerald just barreling into to take a ball from. Like, that's fine. But if he can at least play second base where he played in college and be playable, his hit tool can play. Like, it's the reason, and ultimately, like, the reason he rose through the system so fast. I mean, the power's not there, but his plate discipline's really good. His swing decisions are really good. He doesn't swing and miss a lot. Like, just in general, like, he has really high contact rates, hits a ton of line drives, has plus speed. Like, he could be a 25 plus stolen base guy. I know it's something they've been working on with him. Like, there are tools. It's just, he's got to get playable somewhere because you can't just be a kind of slap hitting guy with no defense. Like that's a problem.
Yeah.
I think if he's going to have any kind of role on the team this year, you're going to need to get rid of probably. I mean, he's going to have to show he can be comparable at second base, but I think he's also going to need to try to learn first as well. Yeah, like they're saying in the chat, Luis Ariz, same thing. Everybody's like, no, he can't play first base. He's too small. But he ended up having to get moved over there because even at second base, he was very mediocre.
Yeah.
But yeah, with Meckler, I think he eventually needs to learn first base too, just to give a little bit more versatility. Again, not a big power guy. You got to have a little bit more versatility.
Yeah.
And you know what? If Meckler goes on 400 watch, we will all eat our words like Arias was for months a couple of years ago. Like if Meckler can do that at the plate, we'll all just,
you find a way to make it work.
No, Colby, literally, Cody he texted me and Ricky the video when he was at the game. He was just like, look at this. And it's literally like a six hopper, and he just does the most unnecessary bat flip you can imagine. I was like,
the bat went about as far as the ball.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, what are we doing here? And Cole, are you being serious? Did the Tigers re-sign Wilmer Flores? Because these guys were messing with me the last live show, saying that if we did that, how I'd react. And I wanted to break my monitors. So if the Tigers re-sign him, I'm going to be thrilled right now.
I should trade Wilmer Flores to the Tigers for Wilmer Flores.
How about we just ban the name Wilmer Flores?
The amount of emotions Dan would go through in that trade.
Dude.
Arson Judge 2.0.
Dude, I told Ricky this the other day, but if that happened, I would start drinking again.
That's great. Oh man. Hey Aaron, if you just so you know, if you're going to be hanging out, jump over to the YouTube side. If you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button, drop a comment in there, because that will get you entered for the giveaway at the tail end of the show. So just as I saw you're commenting from X, so just a heads up for anybody that's watching there, because we've got like 112 people in here right now. I don't know how many. I don't have the YouTube thing in front of me, so I don't know how many of you guys are on YouTube, but drop a comment if you want to get entered for the Patrick Bailey prospect card.
AKA the new fire starter. Anyways.
Also, hey, Joaquin and who won it? Chris.
Is
that who it was? You guys passed the test. We wanted to see how loyal everybody was. And the Bailey card went last. It was a test to all the fans.
Love you guys.
No, we're kidding. You guys are awesome.
Hey, we're shipping these out quick though. Mine already got delivered to Chris. Like I mailed it out the day after.
Yeah. Joaquin, he messaged me. He got his, so they got there quick. Even with the holidays going on, like we still we get them out quick, and they UPS is still doing it, or UPS whatever postal service is still doing a good job. So good stuff.
Yeah, Ed just got his Harrison card from me today.
Nice. All right, so we're gonna for those of you that saw the thumbnail to this video, we just thought we'd have some fun with that. I don't know if they'd actually even consider going and trying to sign both of these guys, but they obviously rumors have come out in the last week or so, connecting them both to Burns. And then they had mentioned earlier in the offseason, I know Heyman mentioned the Giants were a strong fit for Adames, but we hadn't really heard anything on that front. And then I don't know if it was Feinsand or Morosi, one of them said the Giants are still definitely very much involved in Adames. And it sounds like they've got, potentially some pretty big offers on the table to both guys. Now, I know, Ricky, you kind of mentioned, you texted us the other day, like it's going to be interesting to see if this is hey, let's see who will take our money first. And then, but if one signs, it'll be interesting to see if the other one, if they keep the offer out there and they still continue trying to get him. Because for those of you, I know we kind of go through this every time, but we have different people watching. If the Giants sign anybody with a qualifying offer, it's going to be, they're going to lose their second and fifth round draft pick in the 2025 draft and $1 million in international bonus money in the 2026 signing period. If they sign a second qualifying offer player, they would then lose their 3rd and 6th round picks, as well as another $1 million from their 2026 bonus money. So, if you do sign Burns and Adames, that you're going to be down to just a 1st and a 4th round pick in 2025. And then in 2026, you're going to be down $2 million in your bonus money, which they are currently slated to be, they're favored to, I think they have like a verbal agreement, whatever they want to call it, to sign Luis Hernandez out of Venezuela, who is, middle infielder. That's probably going to be like a top 2 or 3 or 4 prospect in that signing class. So I don't know if it would cause them to not be able to get him, but there's the potential that it could. So it's just something to be mindful. I'll let you guys give your thoughts, but I just kind of wanted to lay it out there for starters.
I mean, you guys know how I feel. It's always F them picks. That's just me. My biggest thing is what you just touched on. It's the international money. That's where I'm like, correct me if I'm wrong. They can recuperate some, yes?
I think you can trade for some if a team is willing to.
Yeah, you can trade for pool money.
That's
like if the Giants were like, hey, here's this prospect that's blocked or something, and
exactly
a team threw them a couple $100,000 in bonus money. I don't know, something like that.
That's the only silver lining in this, because like you said, I don't want it to impact some of these verbal agreements, because like the 3 of us have talked about privately, you got to go hard on the international market going forward. Ton of potential out there. It's a great way to build up your farm. So I'm all, for it, because you're going to get some legit talent. You're going to get a bona fide star number 2 pitcher, and you're going to get a, near elite, power bat. And not only a power bat, but a bat that can actually drive in runs, especially with runners in scoring position in the middle of your lineup. That's going to not only benefit the team, but it's going to benefit Bryce Eldridge. You got the protection there. It's going to give you some umph in the lineup. It's going to get you that solidified, left side of the infield. So it's like in a perfect world, I would absolutely do it. But like you guys kind of touched on, you're going to be giving up a lot. You're going to be, forfeiting a lot of the future for the next couple of years. So you got to kind of weigh the pros and cons with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for the F them picks crowd, it doesn't seem like anything right now, but when you get, say, Willy Adames and Corbin Burns, in their mid to late 30s, and you're still paying them a ton of money and you didn't get those picks. Yeah. After you just had Chapman and Snell cost you multiple picks, and it really sets you back a lot more than you think. While it doesn't hurt you this year, you start feeling it years down the road. And it's the other thing, like Cody mentioned, if you're losing that international pool money, it's a big deal, because like Cody mentioned, the Giants are starting to get a lot more aggressive on the international market. They have the number 1 guy in the 2025 class eligible to sign in mid-January. He's already wearing all Giants gear on his Instagram. He's trying to get his little brother to sign with the Giants, and he looks like a legit shortstop. And the Giants are expected to get him. That would be huge for the farm system. That would instantly boost them big time, and he would be a top 3 prospect in the system right away. And then like Cody mentioned, in the 2026 class, they've got another couple guys, but the 2025 class, they've got 2 of the top 30, Cody, with the kid from Aruba.
Yeah, because Gene Macaris is, and I might be butchering the pronunciation, but he's an outfielder. I think he's number 23 on the rankings, and Gonzalez is number 1.
Yeah,
and I know it's really hard for fans to get excited about 16-year-olds and 17-year-olds now, but that's what matters, because when you go and bring in 2 top guys in this class and 2 top guys in the 2026 class, that's what helps you make up for losing numerous picks from Snell and Chapman last year, where you have very few guys coming through in the top of the draft. And that's ultimately how you keep your farm system up like the Dodgers have for years. So you have to do that, especially when the Giants are never locking down top hitters in free agency. So you really got to understand the importance of that.
Yeah. And that's why I've been so vocal on X and getting absolutely just blamed by everyone for saying that if I had to pick one between Burns and Adames, for the sake of what we're talking about, you know, given the fact that you're going to give up international money and give up picks, I'm taking Adames all day. I'm sorry. That it just fills a bigger need that's on the major league team now. It's going to benefit you for the next few years. Yeah, it might hurt if you're paying him into his age, 35 season, but at least, that solidifies the left side of your infield for the next 5+ years. At least that gives Bryce Elder some protection for when he comes up ultimately this year. At least that still spares you, a couple of picks and international money, so you're not completely in the hole in that aspect. So that makes more sense to me. So although it's in a perfect world, if we're playing the show, obviously we're going to get both. But if you have to pick one or the other, me personally, I'm leaning towards Adames. I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty well on the record saying that I think Adames is the better play. I do think the Giants have more in the system at pitcher, or just in starting pitching. They have virtually nothing at shortstop that's even remotely close. And I think Adames is a move that not only helps you now just be more competitive, solidify shortstop. I think he'll at least be able to play short for another 3 or 4 years. I do think he's going to revert back a little bit to being a above average shortstop defensively. I kind of wonder what went on this year. I know he made 8 errors in a 3-week stretch at one point, so I kind of wonder if he had the yips or something for a couple of weeks. I don't know, or he could have been dealing with some kind of nagging injury. Couldn't tell you guys, but most guys that are high end defensive shortstops don't just turn below average overnight at 28 years old. So I still think he'll be decent. So I lean Adames, and I think it just would help. It would help a guy like Bryce Eldridge be potentially the best version of himself when you can hit him behind that guy. So you need to give these guys some protection. It helps the young hitters, take some pressure off them. There's just a lot of ways that he can benefit this team. But
yeah,
and kind of to both your guys' points here, because I'm kind of like Dan a lot in the sense that, generally speaking, I'm kind of an F them picks, especially for baseball. But when we're talking about 4 draft picks in the top 6 rounds and the bonus money, it basically puts just an immense amount of pressure on this draft and both those international signing periods. Like, it's going to put an immense amount of pressure on those for you to just absolutely hit them out of the park. Though you're like, your first round pick in 2025, you cannot miss on. The Gonzalez, you really need to be like a top 50 prospect. Hernandez, when he comes, you really need him to be like a top 50 prospect, and you can't really whiff on your first round pick next year either. It just puts so much pressure because your system right now is just not good. I can sit here and tell you guys, I think it's deeper than it used to be, and there are solid pieces, and they do have some kind of high end toolsy guys in the lower levels, but none of those guys are really proven in full season ball yet. And outside of Bryce Eldridge, that's the one guy kind of going up in the upper levels that we have enough of enough tape on, we'll say, or enough of a track record that we feel really strongly about him being a high end player coming up. The rest of them, it's like we're just projecting off of tools, and there's not really been the production to match. So I struggle with it, because in 4 or 5 years, are the Giants, does Burns and Adames move the needle enough for this team to realistically even compete with the Dodgers and give you a puncher's chance in a short series? Because if the answer is no, we're doing it purely for entertainment value for the next couple of years, and you are severely damaging your ability to try and compete with them long term. And I'm not suggesting we don't try and win, but I do think that the Giants can take a year or two, kind of do it the right way, so to speak, kind of build from within, get their core, then get aggressive at getting guys in. And because of how much money they bring in on a yearly basis, and they're going to be the only team in a big market, they should be able to set themselves up to compete for like decades without ever being back in this situation again. But this is the situation they're currently in, and they kind of got to go appropriately from there. It's just how I feel about it.
The issue that arises from that is something that gets brought up quite a bit, and I can understand both sides to it. It's the question of, well, then why did you extend Matt Chapman? If your
100%.
plan was to compete in 2-3 years to go with a quote unquote soft rebuild, then you're relying on 33-year-old or 32-year-old at that time Matt Chapman to kind of be, the centerpiece of it all. So that's why it just kind of makes me, wonder what the long-term goal is and what the vision is for Posey, because he's the one who initiated that move. So what is your plan, not only for this year, but going forward? And I think we're going to get a lot of clarity on that over the next few months.
Yeah. Winter meetings are coming up. I think they start on Monday. Mistake me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, you're right.
I believe Monday they start. So, expect some stuff to happen over the next 2-3 days, because from what a lot of insiders are saying, they expect it to be really busy right before the winter meetings actually start. But yeah, going back onto the whole, the future and how you envision things, and caring about pool money and picks, prospects, all that, you got to also remember it's not about just the future. It's also like, if you want to win now, you do have to restock the pipeline one way or another, because ultimately you're never going to pull off big trades for superstar talent if you do not have high-end prospects like the Giants haven't for a long time. Obviously, a few guys that they have had, like Luciano and Harrison, and guys that have been really highly ranked prospects, they haven't been willing to move off those guys. But, different regime now. So you have to restock the farm system, plain and simple. And, if you're giving away all of your picks for aging players, it's not going to go well for you, even if you are trying to win now.
Yeah.
So you have to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
I think it was Colby mentioned Adames, though, being a base clogger. I don't know about the base
bags last season.
Yeah, he stole 21 bags, and just so you know, that would lead all Giants players by four bags. So I think I'll take that. And I don't know about clogging bases, but he clears bases. He had 112 RBIs last year and over 30 bombs. So yeah. I don't think the Giants are in a position to be picky here. They don't really have that kind of guy on the roster right now, because it isn't Ramos and it's not Chapman.
I don't know if somebody else said it. I'm not sure. I kind of scrolled back a little bit. Yeah, he's like 50th percentile on sprint speed. Like, he's not fast. Yeah. He's not Wilmer Flores out there. Like,
no, all I'm saying is that's not something I would use to deter you from signing a guy like Adames. You 100% need a shortstop. There's no way around it, and you just don't have that guy in the system.
Well, that's
for sure.
That's why I've been so vocal and open about wanting Adames since the middle of this past season, because he fills two or three needs, really. You need a shortstop, boom, fills that. You need a middle of the order of the bat, boom, fills that. You need a power bat, boom, fills that. But more than anything, you need a guy who hits with runners in scoring position, because that is the one thing that we were just dreadful in this past year and the year before. So it's like one of the most consistent issues on the team has been the lack of ability to hit with runners on. And Willy Adames was literally one of the best hitters with runners in scoring position last year. So I am willing to take, I was described in the comments, a running metric of 50 out of 100. If it means that you're going to get 15, 20 bags stolen per season, drive in runs, provide power, yada, yada. I'm willing to make that deal.
George says, Robert Murray said that Willy Adames is one of the best role models and leaders for your players. Said that Adames is a culture changer. Yeah, he's kind of known. He has kind of a reputation very similar to Matt Chapman. around baseball. He's super highly respected. Could be, he's a great role model. He could be, really a big time person to have around the, Hispanic players in the league.
Yeah.
There you go,
Dan.
Yeah. The Latin players in the clubhouse, he can be a big role model for those guys. He's a winner. Like, that's what he's been in his career. And, when I say that, it makes you kind of wonder, would he really want to come to San Francisco? But, that's just that's been his rep. He's been a winner. And I get that RBIs aren't the most important statistic. I'm big on runners in scoring position. He's performed in general at an insanely high level with runners in scoring position over the last 3 years. I think over those 3 years, it's like over a 900 OPS. His worst year of those 3, he had like an 860 OPS. Last season, it was over 1,000. He hit 98 RBIs 3 years ago and 112 this last season. A lot of them stem from opportunities, but some guys just factually are better with runners in scoring position than other guys for whatever reason it is. And he's one of those guys. So I'd love to have him in the middle of the lineup driving guys in. Like, they need somebody to do that. So,
and
go ahead, Rick.
Oh, I was just going to say, I'm not totally big on the whole, Adames had this many more opportunities, because you can literally look, like you said, runners in scoring position. How does he do? You look at a guy like Chapman last year, he was in a pretty awful Giants lineup. But how many damn opportunities did he have to come through in big moments? And he just failed time and time again. He was just subpar with runners in scoring position. And he could have easily cleared 100 RBIs if he was a little bit better with runners in scoring position. So I just think Adames could really bring that spark of that guy that's not really afraid of the big moment to hit with runners in scoring position. And like you guys mentioned with his leadership, they desperately need it. They need a little attitude on the team for sure.
Yeah. And I have it in front of me, just so if you guys are wondering. Willy Adames's career numbers: he has a 248 average, 766 OPS. His career with runners in scoring position, which I didn't pull the last 3 years specifically, but his overall career numbers with runners in scoring position: 263 with an 861 OPS.
Yeah.
In 976 plate appearances.
And I don't want to say it, but I'm just going to say it because you already touched on it. The only reason that Wilmer Flores is even on this team is because fans say that he's a good mentor for the Latin players. So if you sign Willy Adames, you can send Wilmer Flores to the Staten Island Ferry Hawks and kiss him goodbye, bro. Let's go.
Yeah.
I knew that was coming.
I agree, George.
And also, really quick, I wanted to say, because Vita for Life commented, why is Fitz being overlooked for short? Last year, Fitzgerald had 14 errors, 11 of those coming at shortstop.
Not even close to a full season.
It was what? I have it right here. It was 72 games played, 67 games started, and he had 11 errors at short. That's why I'm not wanting him full-time at shortstop.
He simply does not have the arm for short. Like that alone. Some of the stuff, he booted a few balls. Like, I think you can improve on a lot of that, but his arm is just not good enough for short. It's better suited for second. So,
yeah,
that would just be my personal opinion on that. Agree, Nick. Will Clark and Buster are right. RBI clutch hitting is not a fake data point. It is a mentality. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I don't think like I said, I think it's just how you perform with runners in scoring position, because some guys like Posey had a lot of years where they didn't get a ton of opportunities, or he didn't have, the greatest protection behind him. So he got kind of pitched around in those situations because they didn't want Posey to be the one to beat them. But yeah, I mean, it's just, I don't think you can ignore it when somebody has a 98 RBI and 112 RBI season. Like, the same thing with like Santander, for instance, like driving in a ton of runs the last 3 years. Like, just because he's on a good offense, like, you can't just ignore that. Like, doesn't mean something. Some guys are just better at doing it, at getting people in.
Oh, and also I was just looking for a little comparison, Adames only had roughly about 40 something more at bats with runners in scoring position than Chapman, but had 34 more RBIs with that little sample size. So
Yeah. I'd be curious what Ramos did in I mean, Ramos, I think with runners in scoring position hit like 300, but just kind of in comparison to Chapman's, like how many plate appearances, because they finished with around the same amount of RBIs. I think Chapman etched him out by like a couple.
Yeah.
But yeah, be interesting. And you know what? And we kind of rolled off topic a little bit, but like if they, you know, at the end of the day, I'm about trying to build a sustainable winner. I feel like that's through the young players, but if the team decides to go with Burns and Adames and they say screw the picks and they just go crazy, you know, I'm going to enjoy the fact that they're going to be a fun team to watch. And I'm just going to hope like hell that Bryce Eldridge is the superstar we want him to be. Ramos is great. Lee is awesome. Like, I hope like a lot of these young guys, I hope Bailey figures out how to be a league average bat. You know, I'll just be rooting like hell for this team to turn into just a genuinely fun team to watch. Like, I don't want anybody to think that like I don't want to see a good product on the field, because I do.
So with that being said, somebody asked you this, Cody, so this is the perfect time to bring it up. Hypothetically, the offseason goes as you plan and how you envision, how you dream, and it's going to be a fun year. What jersey are you buying?
Oh, yeah. So Nick asked, specifically, is there any free agent aside from Soto that let me see if I can find the quote. He said, oh my God, I had it up. Nick, you might beat me to this. Oh yeah, side question. Who would the Giants sign besides Soto, whose jersey you would buy immediately? Corbin Burns jersey might be nice. And if I'm being honest, I don't think there's anybody in free agency right now that I would buy a jersey for. Personally, just me, I would probably buy someone like Ramos, somebody on the team that's been here, one of the young kids that I really like. You know, I've always been a big Casey Schmidt believer. If he turned into a really good player, I would probably go that route as well. I have like a soft spot for homegrown talent, so probably Ramos for me.
For me, if all went well, you guys know my dream. If I'm going homegrown, I want a Bryce Eldridge jersey by far.
Yeah.
If I'm going veteran on the team that's locked up, I would go Chapman. And if I'm going free agent acquisition, I'm going Adames. Or if we go the trade route, like Ed said, a Bo Bichette would be pretty fire.
I do like Bichette a lot, or Vladdy, if somehow that trade. I'd give it about a 0.1% chance, but you know, if somehow
or here's a cool one in the future, a Jacob Christian, I'd go hard.
Shameless plug. Check the interview for anybody that wants to see it.
Jacob, check your DMs, bro.
Yeah, I'd probably say Webb or Ramos are the only guys I would buy. No, I wouldn't go with Lee personally. I haven't seen anything of the guy. The guy played for a month and a half and ran into a wall, and I didn't see him again. So,
I'll just into like 5 walls last season.
Yeah. Well, I'm talking one specifically in Triples Alley.
Dirt means the wall's near, bro. Like, slow down.
I'm excited to hopefully see him play the whole entire season, because I think he's another guy like, you know, Adames, who could be kind of a energizer. But yeah, no, I would just personally wait to get a Lee jersey. I just want to see more, you know. The guy's coming over from Korea. We just don't really have much to go off of. But for me, it would be Ramos or Webb. I like Adames a lot. Obviously, I'd be hyped if he came to the team. I'm just usually not a big fan of buying guys that are close to 30 years old, and that's like they might only have like a few really good years with the team. Like Cody said, I tend to like more of the homegrown guys that you get for a lot longer. Out of free agents, though, I don't I don't know. Honestly, that's hard because, again, it's the same thing. Most free agents, guys are right near that like 30-year-old mark.
I can tell you whose jersey I wouldn't buy if you guys want to know. I'm just kidding.
I probably would buy a Wilmer jersey just so I could donate it to Dan and not tell him. And then he unboxes it on a live show and then just see the disappointment on his face.
Y'all know whose jersey I would immediately set on fire. So that's all.
Hey, you know what we need to do, Cody? We need to get you one of Nick Ahmed's size 5XL helmets so you can put it on display.
Jesus Christ. All right, Darth helmet. The power of the Schwartz.
It's so bad. Every time you guys mention Nick Ahmed, all I can picture in my head is that awful play at Philadelphia where he like tripped over his own feet and just airmailed one up the first baseline. Like every time that just replays in my head over and over.
Oh man. Yeah, Nick. I do think Burns and Adames would sell jerseys. Like Lee was super popular last year. Now, granted, it's the international aspect, big Asian market in the Bay Area, obviously. So it's going to be very popular if you can get somebody from Korea or Japan to come play in San Francisco. But he's just such a likable person and player that I'm not surprised Lee was super successful jersey sales wise. I do think Adames would be very popular. I would have to look at the numbers, but I think Chapman's jersey sales were pretty high up there last season. I think Adames would be similar, like very popular player. And Burns, I mean, the dude's a workhorse. Like he would be likable. And I like Corbin Burns. Like he is a very likable player, pitcher. He's a good interview for anybody that's kind of listened to some of those. But yeah, can
I just say, I know somebody that bought a Blake Snell jersey, and I know I haven't checked in on them, but I know they've got to be pissed right now.
Yeah, see, guys on 1-year deals, it's like never a good idea.
No.
It's like I remember seeing people at Niner games walking around with Chase Young jerseys. I'm like, what are we doing? He's gonna be here for 2 months. Like sorry if anybody in here bought a Chase Young jersey, but my God, what were we thinking?
That's where you just take like a red Sharpie, like on the 2, you color in the bottom part so you can just say it's a Bryant Young jersey and you move on with your day.
There you go.
It's about all you can do. Yeah.
Or just hope like hell they draft somebody that wears 92.
I'm gonna and just pull the lines, just start trying to put the tape over the name.
George. Use the Snell jersey for a bathroom rug.
Yeah. I'm gonna get a Tom Murphy jersey next season.
I will block you.
I told you guys I would buy a jersey and then I'd hang a pool noodle out the right arm of the thing. Just that'll be my new wall decoration.
I think if the Giants make the playoffs this year, we each need to put up our least favorite Giants jersey in the background for live shows for like the entire off season the following year.
You know what? I will say this. I actually really quick about jerseys. That's a good shout out. I do like Ryan Walker. That dude's a stud.
That's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one.
For those of you that didn't see the Casey Schmidt interview, Casey Schmidt said he was the least favorite guy to face on the team was Ryan Walker. Because he's like, he hides the ball, he throws the ball from behind you, and the ball breaks like two. He throws basically a slider and a left-handed slider. Because
dude, did you see the arm angle? Yeah, it's crazy.
It's stupid. So that's a good pull, Nick. I do like Ryan Walker.
Yeah, should be full-time closer now. So
yeah,
unless they sign like Tanner Scott, then you'll probably go back to the 8th. But either way, I mean, super likable guy.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I could see Scott. Scott has some experience closing, but it's actually not as much as I thought. Like, I think he has a year with like 20 saves, but
you should have got a Kaiwei Tang jersey.
Oh God.
No.
No.
Yeah, I do like the jersey idea. Like we should all like if they like, but I will say this: they need to win 90 games and make the playoffs. I don't want to see this crap where everything goes sideways and they sneak in at 84 wins. Like if they win like 90 games, I will go buy some jersey of some player I can't stand and I will stick it on my wall.
I would need
I
need to make space for like 4 jerseys, bro.
I said
who would your guys' choices be? Because it can't be Gregor Blanco, Cody. It has to be a current player.
Jesus Christ.
Mine would be okay, just take a guess. Who would my 4 be? Who do you guys think? You guys know me.
There's so many. It has to be Wilmer first, but then after that, then you could go Meckler. Bailey because he actually plays. Yeah. Meckler, we don't even know what team he's going to be on this year. It could be Sacramento. Shit, he could go down to Richmond.
Okay, there's 5 then. Okay, you guys got 3 of them.
Ahmed.
Okay, no.
Current player.
Oh, current. Okay, I thought you just meant generally.
Yeah, so you guys got Wilmer.
Yaz in there?
Nope, not Yaz.
Wade.
I respect him. Wade.
Okay, yeah.
One more. You guys are missing the most powerful hitter of them all.
Oh, Tom Murphy?
Yes, sir.
Oh, duh. I should have known that. Come on now.
That's my only one. Yeah, we're going to be doing the giveaway here shortly, Cole. I don't know. Should we announce, what we got going on next Monday?
I think we do.
Let's do it.
I think we're safe. I mean, he confirmed. Unless he ghosts me like the other person, he confirmed.
Hey, he didn't ghost. He's just busy. Okay.
Yeah. He's just busy. We are the guy that is among the Giants' top prospects. We are still working on. We're trying to nail down a date, so we'll see on that one. But we do have another Giants prospect that is going to join us on Monday. It is going to be a little earlier, so this works out for you, Nick, because I know you're on the East Coast. But it's going to be at 6:15 Pacific time. Why 6:15? Well, I get off work at 6, so we're giving ourselves a 15-minute buffer there. But we are going to have Charlie Sikowney, Giants 9th round pick from 2023, I think. Yep. Played in the, got promoted up to high A, had a really nice first full season, and then went and played in the fall league. So Charlie's going to join us on Monday night. It is going to be, I talked him into a live show. He's down for it. So bring your questions, whatever you want to do. And, as long as they're reasonable and respectful and whatnot, we'll throw them up there for Charlie. So,
yeah, that'll be a fun one for sure.
Yeah. Seems like a cool dude. He seems pretty excited. He's got that Hunter Pence to him and the Brandon Nimmo and he gets beamed by a pitch and he sprints to first base. So yeah. Kind of fun guy. So yeah. And then I mean, if we don't have any other questions, we can just go ahead and do the giveaway now. Do need to pull up the
off topic, but I see people in the comments talking about Macklin Celebrini. Dude, that I love Macklin. I need his jersey too. Dude is a beast.
I feel like every game I see he did something special.
Always, bro.
Except for today when they were lost 8-1, but
yeah, we don't talk about today. When I texted you, and it was
like 4-0 and 10 minutes left in the first period.
Yeah,
what is happening?
Hey, Cole, we actually we've talked about trying to get Kerry Crowley on the show. We haven't tried getting a hold of him yet, but we've definitely been thinking about getting Kerry on. It'd be a good one for sure. Yeah. But we do have somebody else that we might be getting on next week in a similar capacity. So
should we announce that one too?
We'll wait until we have that date for sure, but he will be getting on at some point.
Yeah. If he's confirmed on Monday, we'll kind of drop a mention that we'll what's coming, or I'll do it in another video I do later in the week. He was supposed to go tomorrow, but this guy over here is an idiot and didn't feel like his wife leaving him because he skipped out on date night. So we had to postpone. Sorry. Yeah. But anybody that's watching, we're going to do the giveaway. just if you haven't already, drop a comment in the chat. I'm gonna give everybody a couple minutes. We'll give you guys like 5 minutes, and then we'll do the giveaway at like 9:50. So I see like 170 people are watching right now. So I don't know how many of you guys are over on X watching, but if you are on X, jump over to YouTube, hit the subscribe button, like the video while you're at it, and drop a comment. You can put whatever you want. You can say Applebee's like Nick. You can say our takes are terrible. Whatever you want to put, I don't really care. So
someone called me a boomer on X, and I'm 27. So you guys can call me a boomer if you want to get into the comment. Death Celebrini, just because again I have a soft spot for homegrown talent, but I'd buy both. Let's be realistic. I'd buy both.
Yeah. I was never like the biggest hockey fan. I love playoff hockey. I will say, I think playoff hockey is like the coolest thing ever. Like it is.
Dude,
even
it's
not growing up the biggest hockey fan, like I thought playoff hockey is like kick ass.
Dude, you gotta see. Have you guys been to a live game during playoff hockey?
No, not a live playoff game. No,
bro. We got to go next time. Sharks are in the playoffs. Those games are freaking electric.
Yeah, that'd be sweet. But
I was supposed to go to that one against Vegas when they came back from being down 3-1 in the series, the game 7 when they won. Dude, I was supposed to go to that game with a couple of my friends. That was rough. I was working late at night at the time, and I remember hearing the call on the radio when they hit the game winner.
That game was insane.
Man.
Oh yeah, Nick, I sent that to I texted that to Cody and Ricky today. Tomorrow's the anniversary of Arson Judge.
Best 4 minutes of our life.
Dude.
Yeah, I have a funny story about the Sharks. I used to work at a golf course at a country club in the Bay Area, and they like I used to like just work like outside cart staff, whatever. And I had been told one day that like a few of the Sharks were going to be playing there, and I hadn't seen them earlier in the game or earlier in the day. And sure enough, they come off, and I didn't even notice it was them, but I'm like cleaning some clubs off and stuff, and I'm like left-handed golf set. I'm like, what the heck? And then somebody said something sounds super Canadian, and I'm just like, okay, it must be the Sharks. And I like looked up, and it was like Joe Pavelski, Marlowe. I think Burns was there, and it was like Thornton or something like that. It was like literally like the best players on the team were playing there, and they were all like the nicest guys. They were so cool. So yeah, it was pretty fun. But yeah, it was just like for anybody that plays golf, you realize like 4 lefties in one group is super rare. It was really weird.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it was really weird.
Ed, I want Belly. I've been saying Belly to the Bay. I don't know why there's not any rumors being linked to San Francisco, but
I mean, it's very possible they're still linked to a possible trade for him. I mean, it's been reported in the past. It's just you never know with specific sources because they might not have some connection within the Giants organization. So they may be just going off of the teams that they have connections with that they've heard from. So you kind of never know at this stage of the offseason. That could be something that could heat up easily, by Monday when the winter meetings start.
Yeah, here's hoping, bro. I'm excited for the winter meetings this year. Usually, like especially last year, there was like nothing happening. So I'm pretty excited for this year's.
Yeah.
What about touching on the Blake Snell convo real quick? I know Cody, you did your show on that ranting and that blew up. But
yeah, I got like 4,500 views, guys.
Now that we've had a little more info on that, Dan, how are you feeling about Blake Snell now? Because there's 2 very different discourses on that with Giants fans. There's the segment of fans that are saying, well, how could you turn down that money? And then he's made some comments since then, and I think some fans are feeling a little different now.
So which comments in specific would you like me to touch on?
Well, I mean, one thing I saw him say, I think we kind of talked about this earlier.
The stadium one.
The packed stadium. And then also I thought it was super weak that he mentioned how could you not want to play on the same team as 3 Hall of Fame hitters? So you don't have to face them. I'm like, I personally I think that's super weak move from a high-end pitcher like that. It tells me that you just don't want competition. You just want the easy way out. But I mean, that's my take on it. I don't know what your feelings were, but
What do you know
Yeah.
about a packed stadium? They're only going to be packed for 2 of the innings he's pitching in.
I was gonna say, have you ever seen a Dodger game? Like the fans come in about the 4th inning and they're out by the 7th. So
Yeah. And he's
but
out of the game by the 5th, so it's like
yeah,
whatever.
yeah. So I mean, it is what it is. I feel the same way as you as far as like that Hall of Famer comment. It's like it's kind of weak-minded, bro.
Yeah.
But I found the stadium comment interesting because I was like, oof. Remember the good old days back when it was, Pac Bell and AT&T and it was packed on a nightly basis. So then now last couple of years, it's just been a ghost town. It's kind of sad. So it's like, oof, all right, you got us there, but then you kind of made yourself look weak. But
Yeah.
whatever, man. Like you guys said, I feel the exact same way. I hope that deal turns into a Jason Schmidt deal.
Yeah. That's all we can hope for at this point.
No.
I mean, the reality is, like, I would have been willing to do it. I understand and part of it had to do with there not being a qualifying offer attached. Clearly the Giants don't feel they would, giving him 5 years is the call. And I mean, I also don't necessarily blame them because of a lot of the reasons we've laid out in the past. Like, it is pretty risky for a guy like Snell. That could easily blow up. I mean, it's not going to be his stuff that's the problem. It's just he does have tendencies to struggle to find the zone or struggle to find a feel, and he can be a rough watch for half a season, and then he can turn it around and do what he did in the second half for San Francisco last season. So it's hard. You can tell though, if they're this serious about, Corbin Burns, and they wouldn't give Snell 5 years. I mean, I think it's pretty clear that Posey is a type, and he values guys that eat up innings and guys that are, have a track record of being healthy and things like that. So I do like Burn. Like I've said it in the past, I think Burns does more to help you win over the course of 162 games. I would rather have Snell in a 1-game winner take all playoff game, but I think Burns is a better, start to finish overall season pitcher. Like, he's more valuable in that respect. So I don't know. It's just the qualifying offer that kind of sours it for me.
Yeah. No, I agree 100% on that. I do think Burns, just purely as a player, does make more sense for the Giants because they're more in a position where they need to get there first before they worry about who's going to match up with who in the playoffs. So I think if you do get Burns, you're rolling with that. You're rolling with 2 guys at the front of your rotation that are actually going to eat up innings, and then it takes a lot of pressure off of the young guys. And then the hope is that, between these guys we're always talking about, Harrison, Birdsong, Wisenhunt, Roop, Black, all these guys, you hope that, 1 or 2 of these guys pans out to be, an all-star type starter at some point in the future. It doesn't have to be this year, but you start developing those guys into some kind of role like that as Webb gets a little bit older.
I like this comment right here.
Yeah. Innings. I think it might be both, honestly.
Yeah.
Like I do, you gotta think, I mean, Bobby Evans is an advisor now for whatever that's worth. And that is a guy that watched a Giants team in 2012 have 5 guys that threw 180 innings or more. And I think 3 of them threw 200 innings. So, it's, I do think Posey, having played through all that, I know he knows the game is changing to an extent. Like, you're not going to have 3 guys throw 200 innings or 190 plus innings, but you can have 2 guys give you 190 plus, and then 3 guys that give you 150, 160. So I think that is something that he values. And I think we're going to kind of see it. And, Burns is 2 years younger than Snell, for anybody wondering.
So that's true.
I think I saw somebody in there. So, all right, let's do the giveaway though. So let's,
last chance, everyone.
Drop. Yeah, you got like a couple seconds to drop the comment in there.
Everyone just say, everyone say Dan is a boomer, and that'll get you entered in the giveaway.
Yeah, just put OK Boomer in the chat.
There you go.
right now we only got 19 entries. So hop in there, drop a comment quick. There's 194 people watching right now between X and YouTube. Yet Ricky's showing it right now. He's showing what you can get here. Let me pull the
Death. I have not heard that we've offered Soto a contract. I don't think they will.
And I got something for you, Dan.
Do you? Is it a,
oh boy.
Is it a late?
It goes with the Bailey card.
Is it a late birthday present? Fires.
I'm gonna ask if it was some matches.
That's funny.
You know, everybody, we do crack the jokes about Bailey. We at this point, we still want the guy to be a great, player long term.
I want to make it known.
More of a fun, yeah.
I don't hate any Giants players. I'm a Giants fan, man. That's just I don't like to settle for mediocrity.
Yeah. We've kind of steered into the curve a little bit, or steer into the skid a little bit on this one because we really liked there are parts of Bailey's game that we really like, but then when we criticized him, we apparently offended like half the fan base, and they all came at us and said that we're Bailey haters because we said things like he needs to work on his blocking, and also like his bat being a 150 hitter in the second half every year is a problem. So like we just we kind of steer into the skid on that one. We don't actually hate the guy. We just have some fun with it at this point.
Don't get triggered. They're just jokes, guys. It'll be okay. I promise. We do want the team to win.
Yeah. We want him to be a Gold Glover every year, and we just want him to be like a league average bat. That's all we're rooting for here. Just be the best version of himself he can be.
Exactly.
But, all right. We're up to 23. A few people hopped in here.
Last chance.
We're gonna go ahead and 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. We're hitting the button. Also, if you won one of the previous ones, we're not going to add you in there. So,
hey, we won.
That's awkward.
All right, we're redrawn. Sorry, everybody.
Well,
I don't want
mailing
the card,
out.
so we're going to draw again.
I'm mailing out the fire starter to Dan.
We joked about that before too. That's funny.
Oh my god.
Hey, Raphael.
All right.
That's hilarious.
That was great.
Dude, I cannot believe that.
We joked about that weeks
I forgot
back.
that
That's
it
so
pops.
funny.
I forgot that it puts us in there. That's hilarious, dude. Let's go, Raphael. Congratulations. You got the card. Feel free to message. So Ricky actually has it. So you can either reach out to Ricky on X, his handle's right there on the bottom. Or you can reach out to me. Either way, we'll get the card to you. So reach out to one of us and we will get that over to you. And congratulations.
GG's.
Thanks for joining, Nick. All right. You guys got anything else before we get going? It's like right at 10. I know, Dan, you got the early morning going tomorrow.
Yeah, dude. Show worked out perfect. Great timing.
Good timing. All right. Well, thanks for joining, everyone. Unless something happens and the Giants decide to wake up this weekend and make a move, there probably won't be anything or any shows today or tomorrow, but we will have our live show on Monday at 6:15 Pacific with Charlie Ciccone. So make sure you tune in for that.
If something happens tomorrow and Cody is on his date, me and Ricky are taking over the channel for the night. So there'll be an
Hey, you have access. You can put it out there if you want.
I've got power, guys.
Cody will be going live from Applebee's.
Hell yeah.
Cody will be eating his fondue, and we'll be here just throwing a party.
That'd be hilarious.
Imagine. You just you get a notification. You're like, wait,
Hold on,
went
honey.
live?
I gotta take this one here. Just hop in on one of
The breaking news will be the Giants trading for the other Wilmer Flores and Dan drinking on the live. Just depressed as hell.
Dude, it'll just be a live stream of me blasting Creed in my house at full volume with a bottle of Jack.
God.
I always just think of, when I think of somebody drunk with a mic, I just think of Major League.
Yeah.
And he's just like, Monty, take over. I can't. He just puts his head down. And the guy hits the line drive and he goes, fly ball, caught. That's like the whole call.
Classic.
This is great. But
All right, good
everybody.
Show. Good show, guys.
Thanks for joining. We had a ton of people in here. Appreciate all of you guys. Like I said, we'll be back Monday, and then we will have our normal live with our normal format end of next week, and we will hopefully have another guest joining us, which will be super fun. Gonna have a lot of good stuff next week. So appreciate you guys. We'll catch you next time, and go Giants.